PrizePicks. Today I'm giving you all my best plays for NFL Sunday, excuse me. We got some NBA plays in there, but we're going to be mainly focusing on the NFL. Although, like I said, we do have a couple NBA plays that we're going to go into towards the end. Now, do me a solid. First up, drop a like on this video. Now let's move into the Discord Plus winnables. So I got some feedback from you guys, and it seems like the winnable was still a great system, but I also do appreciate what the Discord does in helping me chat with you guys basically about the plays, and we can sweat them out like that, right? So we got the winnable. This is where everybody needs to sign up. It is completely free to sign up, by the way, winnable.com/bam. That's the first link in the description of this video. You scroll down and you click subscribe to the free plan, right? So you're going to get access to the Discord, which is where we just chat about, bets, good bets, bad bets. I'll put all my videos in there. I got the VIP pick service in there as well. Just a great time. We also talk about fantasy football. So you got the Discord option there, and there's also a ton of VIP plays here as well. So we just had a huge day in the VIP. I had to go ahead and recap it in this video. This was the pick ticket that I sent out, and we cashed out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plays, and we only missed one play. USC won by 5 points, and if they won by 6 points, we would be here recapping a 6-0 clean sweep. So that's how insane the day was, and I went ahead and gave you guys a VIP sale. So I'm giving you 40% off the week pass to the VIP, but only dropped 5 slots. So if you're watching this early enough, you might be able to go ahead and claim yourself a spot for the entire week of VIP. And that means you're not just getting this Sunday, Monday, the whole week of NBA mostly, and then next Saturday as well as what you're getting, because college football Saturday is always a big day. Just look at what we did here. Absolutely nuts. Now, let's move into the first play for today. And like I said, we're talking about the NFL first. We're going to go ahead and skip right past this Commanders-Dolphins game because I know a lot of you guys are probably watching this after that's already kicked off. And honestly, there's nothing too great to look for there. But going into this next one, I like Trevor Lawrence a lot. So what's happened is I took Trevor Lawrence on the under. I said that was my play of the week last week, right? Take Trevor Lawrence on the under. His line was around 200 passing yards, and we smacked, right? He only got 158 against what I would consider the best, if not a top 3 passing defense in the NFL, right? The Houston Texans are right up there with the best of the best. Now he's going up against the Chargers, who, if I show you guys the stats, they're pretty tough as well. Here we go. They're pretty tough as well. Top 5 in passing yards allowed, top 10 in passing attempts allowed. But this is a much closer game, right? This one's 3-point spread, 43-point total. I expect them, the Jaguars to actually be very much in this game. I expect them to throw the ball quite a bit. So if we look at the opposing defense, they're pretty solid along the middle of the field. But where the weakness is towards the outside, right? So the wide out spots, I think, is where the Jaguars offense could actually capitalize quite a bit. But now we're going to spend quite a bit of time talking about this one because I got 3 plays in this Bucks versus Bills game because it's just an awesome game, right? This one's actually must-see TV. I think Bucks versus Bills might be the game of the week. Everybody's pointing to Seahawks Rams, which is awesome. Chiefs Broncos, Lions Eagles. But I think Bucks versus Bills actually might be sneakily more fun than all of them. So we got Josh Allen right here. His line is for some reason sitting at 216.5. And if you haven't figured it out yet, that's going to be our first play, is Josh Allen over on yards. So the reason is we're taking Josh Allen over on yards is, this is just such a peculiar sheet that Josh Allen has, given us to look at. Against terrible teams, Jets, Dolphins, Saints, Falcons, Panthers, he's missed, right? And then against good teams, Ravens, Patriots, Chiefs, Dolphins, he actually was hitting, even though the Dolphins are not a good team. He hit against the good teams, right? So it's a very simple trend right here. When Josh Allen doesn't hit the line, it's usually because he's playing a bad team, and they just let James Cook do all the work, right? That's what happened against the Panthers when he only got 163 yards. What happened against the Jets was even worse. They were just winning so much that they just subbed him out, right? So that's exactly what they do against bad teams, right? This Bucks rushing defense is not exactly a bad team, right? So I expect James Cook to still have a great game. If you have him in fantasy, obviously you should still start him, right? But Josh Allen here on the passing yards, I think could be a sneaky good spot because their opposing defense, 27th against the wideout slot. So that means that they're bottom 5 pass defense to that particular zone of the field. And we know Josh Allen, he can make plays anywhere on the field, right? So you got to look at this plays, and then you got to look at the line one more time and go 216.5. We like it there on the over. But next up, we're going over to the rushing yards category. And I'm actually just going to skim on right by the the Bills running backs. And we're going to Sean Tucker right here. So if we see what's been happening is Rachaad White's kind of been flatlining here, 38, 35, 38 in his last few games. And Sean Tucker has been the one picking up the slack, right? So his line is at 41.5. He only had 9 rush attempts in this last game, and then this game he had 12 rush attempts, right? And I expect against the Bills, I mean, it's going to be a close game. They're going to be using their pass and their rush. I don't think the Bucs are necessarily going to be behind in this game. If we look at the spread right now, the Bucs are 5.5 point underdogs, and the total is at 46.5, right? And if we look at the opposing defense, rushing yards allowed, they're actually nearly dead last, right? They're bottom 3 in rushing yards allowed is the Buffalo Bills, right? So Bills have a good defense. We've known this for a while, but at this point, this late in the season, it seems like they're kind of relying on just the name of having a good defense, if that makes any sense, to them actually producing well, right? You look at these players and you look at which of these players are actually starters, right? Devon Achane didn't just hit his over. He popped for 170 yards. Rico Dowdle, he hit his over. We keep scrolling down. It'll let me. We keep scrolling down. Bijan smacked his over, 170. Gibson hit his over. And then Henderson barely missed his over. Kamara hit his over. Miller went way over his line, right? And then we're going way too far back now, but HN also hit, and then Breece Hall missed in one of those opening games, right? So that's what we're saying. The Bills' rushing defense, actually pretty, attackable. I think the Bucs could go after them here, especially when they have 2 running backs. They can always get fresh legs out on the field. So Sean Tucker's my guy. Now, the next play we're going to talk about is not even a player prop at all. It is just the game total on the over. 46.5 is too low for this game. It's just too low because these offenses are way better than these defenses. That's just plain and simple, right? Josh Allen as a player is basically better than any other defense in football. And when you look at the Bucs defense, it's not a top 10 defense, I would say. It's not a top 10 defense. Definitely not a top 5 defense, right? So Josh Allen can dissect that. And then you look at the Bills defense, and it's pretty ropes, right? Got a couple injuries, of course, but their rushing defense is very weak. And their passing defense, I mean, Baker Mayfield seems like he could really pass against any defense right now. He just played very well against the Patriots, even though they ended up losing that game, right? So we like the game total on the over. We like Sean Tucker. We like Josh Allen. Now, Bears versus Vikings. This one I've got a very simple play. We're going over to the receptions category right here. And we're just going to go ahead and take Justin Jefferson. So Justin Jefferson here on the receptions. I know he missed this last game against the Ravens. I know he's missed this in most of the games this season. This one's just not. This one's a no-brainer for me, right? The Bears' defense is really not all that good. If you look at the completion percentage allowed, this is a perfect stat actually to bring up in this moment. So receptions allowed is 17. Targets allowed is 14. Very middle of the road. Completions allowed, 29. So that means they are bottom 4 in completion percentage allowed, right? So not amount of completions, but how good, our quarterbacks are just finding accurate throws against the Chicago Bears. They're pretty damn good, right? Passing yards allowed, bottom 10. Rec yards allowed, bottom 10, right? This is a perfect spot for Justin Jefferson to just eat against a bad defense. We like him here on the over on receptions. Now, going back over to passing yards, and I'm going to talk about this next game. I really shouldn't have to say much here. We're taking Jameis Winston on the over at 220 passing yards. Like, what are we doing? Have we forgotten how Jameis Winston plays football? I don't know. I have no idea why. Because this man is going to sling the ball no matter what, right? Literally does not matter. He's gonna send that. He's gonna send the ball. It's just gonna 300 yards, 230, 395, 219, 497 against Denver in Mile High Stadium. Let me say that one more time. 497 yards against the Broncos. And this was obviously last year, but come on. It's the same player. We know Jameis Winston, how he plays. He likes to throw the ball. Plain and simple. This is a good matchup against them. Their slot defense is pretty good, but their inline defense is kind of mid. Their wide defense is middle of the road. It's not like the Packers are, all that solid. When it comes to the secondary, they're good. They're not the best in the league. And where they are, I would say, up there with the best in the league is the pass rush, right? You got Micah Parsons. You got Sean Gary, right? There's so many more names to mention, right? they're very good in that aspect, which is honestly even more reason why Jameis Winston's going to have to get the ball out early, right? There's no way they're going to look at a pass rush like that and go, let's lean on Devin Singletary and Tyrone Tracy. That's not the way the Giants are going to play this game, right? So, Jameis Winston on the over on passing yards is my next play. We're skipping Texans versus Titans. We're skipping Panthers Falcons. We're skipping Bengals Steelers. We're skipping Niners Cardinals because we got big games to get to. Not like I don't like plays for those games. I like a lot of plays for those games actually, and I dropped those in the VIP already. Now, Seahawks and Rams. I think that the unders have a lot of value here, not because I want to take the unders, but just because the public is all over this game, right? The public is all over this game because it's going to be a fun one, right? It's going to be a fun one no matter what. And these lines are just so high right now, right? These lines are plain and simple. They're just way too high. So where do I like taking unders? Actually is not on the main slate, but on the 1/2 slate. So on the first half slate, I love taking some of these unders. And it's not the sexiest play, right? It's not like you might want to hear me say, take Jackson Smith and Jigba over, right? Which we're definitely going to get some exposure to. But I do want to take some of these unders, right? For example, Matthew Stafford on passing yards, right? He's only hit this in 2 of the last 5 games. Obviously, he pops against the Saints, and he popped against the Niners last week. 138.5. If they have 1 or 2 punts in the first half, he's not hitting this line. Plain and simple, right? So he could have a huge second half, and that's why I don't want to take the whole game total under, because in the second half, you really are playing based off of how the cards are dealt, right? If you're going into the fourth quarter and you're down by, 10 points, you're going to throw the ball, right? In the first half, it really doesn't matter. You just want to put your best foot forward. And if there's a couple of drives where this strong Seahawks defense, let me state that one more time. Of all the 4 components of this game, right? Rams offense, Rams defense, Seahawks offense, Seahawks defense. I like the Seahawks defense better than all of those, right? I would go Seahawks defense, then Rams offense, then Seahawks offense, and then Rams defense. That's where I'm putting my cards. Although the Rams defense is great, I guess I have to list them last. I might put the Seahawks offense down there. But the whole point of me going through that rant was saying the Seahawks defense is so legit, right? They're legit. And I know Matthew Stafford is playing great, probably an MVP candidate right now. 138.5 passing yards. He could still have a great first half, right? He could throw for a touchdown and get 135 passing yards, right? And Puka Nacua could have 70 of those yards. And Devontae Adams could have another 40 of those. And he could still go under, right? That's just how high these lines are right now. That's literally, I'll compare it to some other lines for you, right? I'll just give you some random plays. And nobody's line is even close to touching this, right? You got Cam Ward sitting at 84, Davis Mills at 108, Aaron Rodgers at 120, Tua at 115. And I'm not saying Matthew Stafford is anywhere near the caliber of those players because we all know he's way better than them. But this line is too inflated, right? Sometimes you just got to look at the slate and just got to go, well, the public is all over that game, which means they're pushing the lines up. Because when the public is all over a game, nobody in the public is taking an under, right? The public just are out there to have fun, right? Most of them are. And they're just going to take over because it's more fun to watch, plain and simple. Matthew Stafford on the under, that's one great play. But like I said, we're getting some exposure to the guy who's about to break the freaking record for receiving yards, 96.5. Give me the over. Give me the over. I mean, what are we doing? 93 was his bad game. Should I say it that way? But let's be real. The only reason this game was bad for JSN was because he basically didn't play the second half, right? They were up, was it 28-3 by the time the halftime whistle was called? I'm not exactly sure. They were up a ridiculous amount. He already had his touchdown sorted. He already had like 80 yards. And then he basically just stopped playing. Like, look at this. This is the perfect metric. Offensive snaps, 42% of the offensive snaps, JSN played. And if you look at the last games, 67%, 88%, 82%, 90%, right? 42% was such an anomaly, and he still managed to get 93 yards. So 96.5, I mean, at some point, this insane streak has got to end, but I'm riding the hot hand, man. It seems like the Seahawks are too, and it's not slowing down now. I'm not going to jump off this train. So JSN, that's our next play. But let's move over to the Chiefs versus the Broncos. I think there's a ton of value here in taking the overs. So we like the over specifically for RJ Harvey. Now RJ Harvey, or J.K. Dobbins, excuse me, is out, likely out for the season. RJ Harvey's going to have a major role, and we know where RJ Harvey can get involved, especially in this game against the Chiefs, where the Chiefs have a very solid defense, right? Very, very solid passing defense. RJ Harvey could, provide a good check down option for Bo Nix. And honestly, I don't really know what to make of Bo Nix because he looked pretty good in the middle of the season. And then in that last primetime game, everybody was just able to, see him be exposed by a very mediocre Raiders defense and not be able to string together much of a drive at all, right? If that Bo Nix is what comes to play against the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't feel good in any Broncos player, right? I don't believe that's what Bo Nix has. I think he's going to dig deeper. They want to win this division, right? The Chiefs have won it 9 years in a row. The Broncos have the best chance they've ever had to win this division, and they're playing at home. They're 3.5-point underdogs, but they're playing at home. I know the Chiefs are solid. I know the Chiefs look great. I think the Broncos keep this one very close, and I think RJ Harvey's a big part of that. Now he's got a major role as a running back starting in this team. We're skipping Ravens versus Browns. Well, actually, I got one quick play. I already gave this out to the VIP, but I'll drop it in there for you guys. It's Lamar Jackson on rushing yards. This is just a very good system play. I mean, you look at the Browns rushing defense, and they're going to hold up Derrick Henry for sure, right? I like Derrick Henry on the under at 75. That feels too easy too. But they're going to hold up Derrick Henry. Lamar Jackson's going to be able to find some holes. That's a simple play that you guys can go ahead and take and add to your own parlays. Now, moving into this last one, we got a banger Sunday Night Football matchup, Eagles versus Lions. I pray to God that the Eagles don't make this one another boring tush-push, grind out game that's just nobody wants to watch. And I don't think they will, because I think the Lions are actually going to force them, press the issue, force them to pass the ball, force them to make it exciting. And that's exactly why I like Jalen Hurts on the over. So this is going to be a bit of a weird play for most of you guys to really comprehend what we're doing here. But what we're saying is that the Lions are going to force the issue, right? The Lions are going to score quite a bit of points. And because of that, the Eagles will be forced to pass the ball instead of run the ball, right? And if we look at the Lions defense, they're very solid, as all good teams are, but it's not like they're a number one lockdown type of defense, right? They're not the Houston Texans. They're not the Denver Broncos. So Jalen Hurts, as much as he is questionable at some points, he can easily go over this. Why didn't he go over against the Packers? Well, because there was not that many points scored in that game, right? I believe the final score was 10-7. That was the quintessential Eagles win, right? That's exactly how the Eagles want to play. And the Packers really just led right into their hand, right? They literally were like, oh, if that's why you want to play, we'll play it. The Lions aren't going to do that. The Lions know they're faster than the Eagles. They're shiftier than the Eagles. They're smarter than the Eagles. They are going to try to make this game up, fast, quick, fast-paced. And I expect Jalen Hurts to be able to have to match that, right? 200 yards, way too easy for JH. That's all I got for the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's cash. Yo, what's up, guys? I went to bring a video on PrizePicks. Today I got my best plays for you for NBA Wednesday. So we're going to talk about all these plays because we got a good amount of games coming up. So I'm going to click on all of these and we're going to get into just the best plays for each game. And there are a couple games out here that are actually super interesting right here. So the Mavs versus the Knicks. I want to say that's an interesting one, but the Knicks are probably going to win that one easy. But this one is the one that's got my attention. Cleveland versus Houston. We're going to get into all that. First up, do me a solid, drop a like on this video, and then go ahead and sign up on the Winnable. It's completely free to join. I drop free plays there. And you also got access to my Discord where we have a great community. Now, let's move into the first play of the day because we're going to just go ahead and start off with game one right here. And hopefully they got a good amount of lines over on PrizePicks. But we're going to go ahead and talk about from my site up here. And the first play that we're going to go for is actually going to be one that I'm once again confused as to why his line is so low. It's LaMelo Ball, right? So his line is sitting at around 7.5 right now. I know it says no offer, but that's where the line was on a couple other books that I checked that this site doesn't offer basically. But 7.5 for LaMelo Ball seems too easy for me, right? I know that he's hit this every single time he's played this season, right? So that's one good thing. And it's also like the Pacers are just such a good matchup right now. The Pacers are basically an ideal matchup for any team, right? Their defensive rating is bottom 5 in the entire league. And if you look at the spread right now, there's also good news, right? The spread is -1, which basically means the books do not know who's going to win, right? Charlotte could win, Indiana could win. It's really just a toss-up, right? And why is that good? That means that if it is close down the stretch, which is very likely, that means LaMelo Ball is going to get some minutes, right? And with Charles Lee, he seems like he wants to sit LaMelo Ball whenever he can get away with it. And what I mean by that is he knows LaMelo is injury prone, right? So he's not going to go ahead and play LaMelo Ball if there's no reason to, right? If they're already winning the game or if they're already losing the game by quite a bit, he's not going to play LaMelo, right? This is a perfect time to target him because LaMelo is going to play a lot down the stretch, right? You looked at what happened in this Raptors game. They lost by 2 points, right? Which means it was very close down the stretch. He got 28 minutes in this one and 8 assists on 11 potential assists, right? One more time, 27 minutes he played, and he got 10 assists, right? 33 minutes he played, he got 8 assists. So he's averaging around that 27 to 33 minute mark. And this one, I think he could even surpass 33, potentially, depending on how much, how close this game is down the stretch, right? So that's why I absolutely love LaMelo for my play number 1. But now we're going to go ahead and talk about play number 2, which is Raptors versus Sixers. So Tyrese Maxey's line has finally gone up to where I think it should be, right? 31.5 or 30.5 is what this man should deserve. And, it sucks because the books were giving us an easy 27, 28 for like a solid week there. And we were just taking the over every single time and having a profitable play every single time. But they finally caught on. We can't just take the over on Tyrese Maxey anymore. And I would not touch this prop, 31.5, by the way. It's too volatile. Anything could really happen there. But one guy that I do like targeting, where is he at? I scrolled right past him. Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes right here. I'm taking him on the over for the rebounds. So I'm taking him on the over for rebounds. This is actually a ridiculous line. 7.5. A lot of apps have this at 6.5 right now, and it's a little bit of minus money, right? So that's a good parlay piece for you. Take it at 6.5, right? 6.5 rebounds for Scotty Barnes. We like it on the over because if you look at the kind of teams that he's playing, right? This is a perfect, here, let me scroll in so you guys can see this properly, right? This is a perfect defensive rank per position. So what does that mean? Scotty Barnes' position, right? The kind of player that he is, right? He's a very unique player in a way. Like a lot of times he plays in a similar way to most players because of the shots that he takes, the shot diet. But the way that he moves on the floor is actually quite unique if you watch this man play, right? And their defensive rank, right? Philly's defensive rank to his exact position, his exact play type is 28th in the NBA, which means for his position, they are a top 3 matchup, right? That means Scotty Barnes is going to shine tonight, right? If you look at how we can look at this exact stat over, we can look at several different stats, right? Over this specific thing, right? When this blue line drops, right? When it's not a good matchup for his specific player type, he doesn't hit. But right now, this blue line is skyrocketing up right before he plays the Sixers. This is a perfect time to take it, right? When was he greening? He was greening here when the blue line was high. He was greening here when the blue line was middle. He was greening here when the blue line was a little higher than that. Then he went red when the blue line went down. And now when the blue line goes up super high, we're taking him on the over right here. So the blue line is opposing defensive rank for defensive player type, right? So this is exactly the type of player that he plays, like exactly his stats. They've melded that into one player type, and they've compared Scotty Barnes with all other players, that the Sixers have faced that are similar to Scotty Barnes' type. That's exactly the statistics that we're getting here. And it's just such a clear trend here telling you take the over for Scotty tonight, especially on the rebounds, right? Especially on the rebounds. That's where he's going to be impactful. Now, let's move into, I'd say, the game of the night. We got the Rockets taking on the Cavs. And, this one's just going to be great. This one's going to be great all the way through. And you like Donovan Mitchell, right? Who wouldn't like Donovan Mitchell in this case? And I actually think that, let me see. Let me show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. I actually think that Houston on the spread is my favorite play, right? So we're going for a sportsbook play here. Houston on the spread, or you can honestly, it's 1.5 point. Just take them on the money line if you want to. But Houston Rockets money line right here is my best play because the Cavs have more holes than they've really been able to show, right? Their record is not good, right? They're facing adversity. Even Donovan Mitchell said it was good that they're facing adversity because what happened last season? They didn't face any adversity until the playoffs, and then they crashed out, right? Of course, that was injury-based, but exactly what I'm talking about. It's good if teams face adversity early. That's what Mitchell's saying. But the point is, right now the Rockets are just a better basketball team, right? There is no denying it. And if you look at if you just look at the two rosters right next to each other and how good the Rockets have been on offense. They are the number one offense in the NBA, if you don't know that by now. They have literally the best stats, the best offense right now in the NBA. They're leading the entire NBA in points per game as an offense through the season, because that's just how impactful their game is, right? You got Kevin Durant, one of the greatest scorers. He's been popping off recently down the stretch. You got Alperen Sengun, who is great as a scorer, even more underrated and awesome as a passer. And who's he passing it to? He's passing it to Amen Thompson, who does most of his work on the defensive end. But on the offensive end, he's no slouch, right? You look at this, he's got 10 plus in every single game. That's just straight consistency, right? So I like the Rockets on the money line. I'm not going to give out a specific player prop right here because all the Cavs unders are way too volatile. And the Rockets and the lines are already quite high. If there were one play that I had to give out, it would be this one, which is Sengun over on assists. But you never really know how the defense is going to play. So I'd probably watch the game for a couple minutes, see how the teams are moving, and then try to hit Sengun assists on a live line, right? That's a great strategy you guys could do. If you know ball, basically, just watch the first 5-10 minutes of a game, and as you're staying locked in, start to take a play on the assists, and then you'll see you green out right after that, right? Already talked about those games. I'm going to skip a couple of these ones. Let's just go hop over to Knicks versus Mavs right here. So, you got Cooper Flag, once again, having to lead this Mavs team. And, I mean, it's all over the place for Flag, right? It's all over the place for Cooper Flag because if you look at this, I mean, he's very consistent at getting his 10, his 15 points a game, right? But past that, he's not really exploding off the page, right? And he's shooting a decent amount, right? Shooting 15 shots per game, and he's getting, 50 or 60% of them to fall, which is, I mean, it's not great, but it's okay. And we just can't count like that, something like that happening against the Knicks, right? Especially with the rebounds, I feel like is a great place to target this, right? He's looked weak on rebounds recently. Here, he played 27 minutes, and he got 1 rebound on 6 rebound chances. He's clearly not as aggressive as he needs to be on some of these boards. And now he's playing up against the 6th hardest rebounding team and the number 1 team versus offensive rebounds allowed. So what does that mean? That means that the Knicks allow the least amount of offensive rebounds out of any team in the NBA, right? So if Cooper Flag wants to get rebounds, it's got to be on the defensive end, right? The bad news is the Knicks are also great at offensive rebounding. So when they're on offense, when Dallas is on defense, so when Cooper Flag's trying to get rebounds, what's going to happen? Knicks are going to steal a lot of those, right? So Flag on the under for rebounds is a great play right here. You look at other players that have played the Knicks. How have they done? Look at all these players hitting under, over, under, few overs right here, under, over, right? So a lot of these players are actually going under on the rebounds, and that's not to mention that we're looking at a guy who played 27 minutes and caught 1 rebound, right? Now he's going up against a tough team, admittedly, in the Knicks, who are probably going to win by quite a bit. I mean, the spread is only minus 4.5. If you want a bonus sportsbook play, take the Knicks on the minus 4.5, right? So I like the Knicks a lot in this one, and I like Cooper Flag on the under for the boards. I think eventually he's going to be a great player. Honestly, I think eventually he can probably start to pick up, 7-8 rebounds per game, and maybe get to that 20+ point per game score region. But it's just not that time, right? It's not that time because we're really just forcing him to play this role. We're forcing him to honestly sometimes play a point, as the Dallas Mavericks are doing. It's not working, right? It's not working. He's still young. I think he's going to be good, but this particular night against the Knicks, not a good spot for him, right? Now, that's all the plays I got for the day. If you want more plays, go ahead and check out the Winnable, like I said. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one once we cash. Yo, what's up, guys? Went to a brand new video on PrizePicks. We just had a huge day on Thursday. I'm going to show you guys exactly what happened in the VIP because I'm telling you, it was nuts. This is what happened Thursday, November 20th. Bills Texans on the over, green that one. Jaden Higgins, greened him. James Cook, greened him as well. And then the 76ers on the minus 2.5. It was looking a little rough there. They went into overtime and they got the job done. 4 for 4 on the VIP. I'm telling you, this is what we do. And I also dropped a couple free plays as well. Make sure you are checking out the Winnable if you want to get the free plays. And also the VIP picks are in there as well. It's winnable.com/BAM. That's the first link down below in the description. Sign up for the free plan. And then you got the VIP stuff all there as well. It's all going to be great stuff because, like I said, These VIP picks have been going crazy recently, and we're just starting the weekend. We still got a bunch of NBA, NFL, and our best sport, college football. So we're going to talk about all those because we do got a few college football games going on today, but also the NBAs that we're going to talk about going in to this beautiful Friday slate. So many games to start and go ahead and talk about. But let's just start off right here with Pacers versus Cavs. We're going to go game by game like we always do. And I'm going to give you guys my best insights on every single matchup. So this is exactly what I'm going to talk about right here. So first up, we're taking D. Mitch right here. We're looking at him right here, and his line is quite high, 28.5. I think this is the kind of spot where you really just fade someone like D. Mitch because 28.5, you could still have a great game and miss, right? Like that's the kind of thing you want to look at. And the problem is right here, with the Cavs going up against the Pacers, it is likely going to be a blowout, right? If you look at the spread, Cleveland are favored by 13.5 points, and the total sitting at 237. So Donovan Mitchell really might not play very much in this game, right? Although, one important thing you want to look at is paint points allowed. Basically, points in the paint, right? This Pacers team is, first of all, terrible at defense in general, right? But especially when it comes to defending against points in the paint. So that's exactly why we're going to go ahead and target Evan Mobley, because if you look at the player right here, he usually shoots a lot of shots, right? 44% near the rim, 20% in the paint. Well, if you count that together, it's 64% in the paint, and then he shoots the rest of his shots out here, right? The opposing defense, very, very weak against those exact spots, right? So that's precisely why we're taking Evan Mobley here instead of a Donovan Mitchell, right? The average player would just take Donovan Mitchell right here because, he's a popular guy. We're not going to play that game. We're looking at the stats. We're looking at where are the opposing defenses weak? How can we target that? And in this case, Evan Mobley's the guy. And if we look at, similar players recently playing against the Pacers, Naz Reid hit his line, Al Horford hit his line, right? Those are two guys who pretty similar, in, I guess, their shot diet to Evan Mobley, right? The kind of shots they take, where they take them on the floor, and they both hit against the Pacers. So Evan Mobley right here is a great look. Now, you get the Celtics going up against the Nets. This is another game that's really not going to be fun to watch, but could actually be a good spot to make some money if you place your plays correctly. And the place we're going to go ahead and take it's a parlay piece, but give me Anthony Simons on the over at 1.5 threes made. So you can get this at 1.5 if you just take a little bit of a lower payout. Basically on any of these apps, they would offer it. But the reason this is such a good play is because the Celtics shoot a ton of threes, right? This is it's no news to anybody, right? The Celtics shoot most threes basically in the NBA. And that's the way they play. And I don't believe that Jaylen Brown and Derek White are the two main guys, right? I don't believe they're going to be the ones ball handling for the majority of this game, right? Or you could say for the majority, right, they'll be ball handling for maybe 2 quarters, 3 quarters. But I think for a good, solid chunk of time towards the back half of this game when the Celtics have pretty much wrapped it up. I mean, you look at this, they're 15.5 point favorites, right? They're even more favored to win than the Cavs over the Pacers. This is just an absolutely terrible game to watch or projected to be. I mean, anything could happen in the NBA. But if you look at these defensive numbers, right? 30th in defensive ranking, 30th in D rank versus spot up, 30th in D rank versus transition, 30th in defensive rank versus defensive play type. What does that mean? That means that the Nets have a terrible defense. The Nets have a terrible team, right? This is not news to any one of us. And the Celtics did just play the Nets, and Anthony Simons did just cash this, right? So it's obviously not going to be a minus 110 play for you, but it's a great parlay piece that you can add on anything, or just take it straight for a little bit of a less payout. That's not a bad thing at all. Now, moving on to the next game, we're going over to the Wizards, taking on the Raptors right here. And this is another game that, there's just so many bad teams right now in the NBA that it feels like every other game is just projected to be a blowout, right? Because you look at this, and the Raptors are minus 13 point favorites. And that's exactly where my play is going to come from right here. I'm taking the Wizards to cover this. I know it's a huge spread, right? 13 points. If they lose by 12, we still green this, right? That's exactly what I want you guys to see. I know this Wizards team is bad, but they're not this bad, right? If we look at the NBA standings and we just really sort it from top to bottom, you got the Wizards down there at 1-13, and they've lost 12 games in a row. I genuinely don't believe this team is 1-13 bad, right? I know, call me Cade Cunningham, right? I don't believe this team is that bad at all, and they're better than the Pacers, they're better than the Nets, I mean, they're up there with the Hornets, I would say. But the Wizards are not 1-13 bad. And it's important to note that the Raptors right here, wait, I clicked off them. The Raptors right here at 10-5. Won 5 games in a row, right? They're looking solid, but I don't want to call them frauds because I know they're just a great team, but they're not the second best team in the East, right? The Pistons are there, the Knicks are there, the Cavs are there. I'd honestly put the Heat above the Raptors, and then you could take the Raptors at 5, right? So the Raptors are pretty overrated going into this game, and the Wizards are pretty underrated going into this game. So both of those combined is what's skewing this spread all the way out to 13 points. And because it's that high, because it's at 13 points, that's a great spot for us to go ahead and take it, for us to go ahead and get some free value, right? So that's what we're taking Wizards on the plus 13. Now, Heat versus Bulls, this one's just been a great matchup, just like in general, right? I think this one's going to be fire. And the place we're going to go ahead and target, let me see if I can find it. Right here, yeah, we got to go over to the Bulls, past the Bulls section, go over to the Heat section. I'm looking at Bam Adebayo right here. I'm looking at Bam Adebayo actually on the under for the rebounds. So it's no surprise that he hasn't hit this in the last few games, right? He hasn't hit this against the Warriors, didn't hit this against the Nuggets. This is obviously not a good game to look at because he only played 8 minutes in this game, right? You really just can't take that into account. Then against the Clippers, he cashed where he had 15 rebound chances. This was a super close game where they just won by 1 point. And then here, they lost by 10 points. He didn't hit it, right? Here, they lost by 6 points. He cashed out, and that was against a tough Spurs defense, right? So he's really been all over the place. But the reason I'm taking Bam Adebayo on the under is because, A, I think the line is a little bit too high, right? 9.5 is too high for this man, in my personal opinion. And it's not like this has been a new thing, right? I'll show you guys exactly what happened last season. His hit rate on this specific prop was 40%, right? Towards the last 30 games of the season. And if we look at the whole season, he did hit this more, right? He hit it 51% of the time, but it's still pretty unlikely, right? It's still like 50% chance. And most of those hits are coming at the beginning of the season, right? We want to lower the data to just really what we need to see right here. He said this at 44% of the time this season. And going up against the Bulls are a good rebounding team, right? This should just be a solid under. And I could see this one maybe popping on the over. But at 121 odds, I think it's just too good to take, right? This should probably be closer to 141 odds, right? Maybe 150 odds. So we're just getting a little bit of value here. And even just that little bit of value is, in the long run, going to add up, right? So that's why I like Bam Adebayo on the under right there. But we're going to skip a couple of these games because truly they don't matter, right? The Pelicans going up against the Mavs doesn't matter. The Wolves going up against the Suns, this one is actually quite interesting. And Dillon Brooks is such a unique player. Dillon Brooks is such a unique player right now because, I mean, he's been on fire for a lot of time. And I feel like not enough people are talking about it, right? With how good this man has been playing. And I feel like this line doesn't really reflect that, right? He's hit this in 67% of games. And if you look at a couple times where he's missed, he's been playing a tough team, right? He's been playing a tough defense. I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Defensive rating for these teams, he's cashing. Then he plays a pretty tough Blazers defense, right? The Blazers are a team that notoriously press their opposition quite a bit. And now he's going up against the Wolves, who are truly not as good of a defense as this Blazers team, right? I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Defensive shooting zone, line is down, then it's going up here. And this is a plus 3.5 spread look for this Phoenix Suns team, which basically means this is going to be a close game, right? 234.5, there's going to be quite a few points scored, right? And all of those are just pointing towards us taking Dillon Brooks to have a good game. And he's obviously got to step up because of the injuries that the Suns team has dealt with. Of course, Devin Booker is still the number one. Nobody's questioning that. But Dillon Brooks, recently you cannot deny this, right? 34 points, 32 points, 18. In the last 5 games, he's averaging 23 points. That should scare anybody, right? So we're taking Dillon Brooks right here against the Wolves defense. Now let's get into what I would call the game of the night, right? Nuggets taking on the Rockets. And these are 2 of the top 3 teams in the NBA right now. Nobody's questioning that. And my top 3 right now are literally these 3. Thunder obviously 1, Nuggets 2, and I'm taking Rockets at 3. And I would even put the Lakers in there at 4. I think you got 4 good teams in the West. 4 best teams in the West are all better than the best teams in the East, right? I would say the Knicks and the Pistons are easily up there for the top 2. I might slide the Pistons up to my 5 spot. Maybe the Knicks. Really depends on how I'm feeling in the day. But my top 4 teams are easily Thunder, Nuggets, Rockets, Lakers, in that order, right? And now we get the Nuggets going up against the Rockets. This is a huge game. Both of these teams have only lost 3 games so far. They're both on, well, I wouldn't call a win streak, but they're both on great little streaks right now. So we're going to go ahead and talk about this exact matchup. And I mean, I've got a play that I love for this game. I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there real quick. I got a play that I absolutely love. Right here, Houston are -2 on this one. And I mean, it's basically a pick 'em, right? -2 is pretty much nothing. I like Alperen Şengün on assists. I feel like I've come onto this camera and this mic every single day for the last month since the NBA season started. And in around half of those days, I'm sitting here telling you guys, take Alperen Şengün on assists. And nobody listens and the books don't change their lines. 6.5 is absolutely ridiculous for this line. Because just look at these stats. He's only missed 3 games on this exact line. He's only missed in 3 games. And those games, Wizards, Mavericks, Nets. 2 of those teams, the Wizards and the Nets, are terrible teams. They won those games, right? Obviously, they're going to win those games. Obviously, he's not going to play 20 minutes. He's probably not going to hit. And in all 3 of those games, he's not just missing his line and not even close, right? He's missing by 0.5. 6 assists when he needs 7. That is ridiculous consistency from this man. And I can't wait to see him go up against Jokic, right? Because I've compared this man to Jokic for so long now. I say the way that he moves, the way that he sees the game, the way that he passes, the way that he even shoots the ball remind me of one guy, and that's Nikola Jokic, right? The guy who's 3-time MVP. The guy who is breaking basketball, some people are saying right now. Because Jokic has looked crazy efficient, but Alperen Şengün, not Jokic, it's Alperen Şengün is the guy who's right now on the number 1 offensive rating team in the NBA. The Rockets are that team. They're the best offense in the NBA according to offensive rating. And Alperen Şengün is the helm of that offense. When it comes to playmaking, he's the guy, right? He's the guy. And of course, he's going to score a ton. He's going to score a ton. In his last 3 games, 25, 30, 28. But he hasn't slowed down with the assists, right? In those last 3 games, he got 9, 8, and 7 assists. I think it's crazy how he hasn't had, I'm going to say that one more time. I think it's crazy how he hasn't had a game with 10 plus assists. That's absolutely nuts to me. But he's consistently getting between the 7 and 9 range. And we're just going to take him here again against the Nuggets, right? He's going to see what Jokic is doing, diamond players up, and he's literally just going to copy that on the other side of the floor. I don't get what's so hard about this play. Now we're going to go over to Jokic, and I'm going to say this. I feel like I've said this a ton of times. Just like how I tell you guys to take Alperen Şengün over on assists, and I've always been right, or very frequently been right. I'm telling you, just don't take Jokic points. Just don't take it. Because you never know what's going to happen. The thing with Nikola Jokic, and the reason why I will almost never take a player prop of him, is because he's too versatile. He's literally too versatile to predict. And this is something that we have never really seen in a player in the recent years. We've never really seen this because most players have a play type, right? Luka's play type is to, pass the ball when he has to, but most of the times, even if he's defended, he can still shoot up, he can still score, right? Shea's play type is to get to the line, and he's damn good at it. And everybody knows that, right? Jokic's play type is, this is going to sound stupid. Jokic's play type is to win basketball games. And he is so good that he can do that through points. He can do it through rebounds. He can do that through assists. He can literally do that through showing up none on the stat sheet. He can get hockey assists. He can do basically everything out there. All he wants is to win the basketball game. And his stats oftentimes don't reflect that, right? Stats are not a metric of winning. Oftentimes you can have, 40, 50 points, and that'll show up crazy on your box score. You don't even win, right? Jokic is the absolute opposite of that. The Clippers tried to take away Jokic's passing, right? If you look at these last few games, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about, right? You look at these last few games. What happened? He had 14 assists, 16 assists, 9 assists, 14 assists, 7 assists. Right? The Clippers saw those last 5 games, and Tyler literally came out and said, Clippers coach literally came out and said, we're going to try to slow down Jokic's passing because they're getting too many easy buckets, right? What happened? Oh, Jokic wasn't scoring all that much until not scoring all that much. You're still putting up around 30 a game. Boom. Pops for 55 points. Let me say that again. He pops for 55 points against that Clippers team. And he didn't need to. He made it look effortless, right? I'm pretty sure it was like 45 points by the end of the third. It was so easy, right? Way too easy for Jokic. And I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen, right? So that's really, I've been talking this much to give you a non-play. Don't take Jokic points. Don't be that guy, because he could have such a huge impact on the game, right? Look at this. All these games, right? Literally won all these games. Only had 14 points. Only had 21 points, right? He didn't really care to score because he was diving up his teammates and he was having a huge impact on the game, not showing up with the stat sheet, right? So we're not taking Jokic right here. But the play that we are taking is going to be one that's, a lot of people are not going to like this play, right? A lot of people are not going to be interested to watch the game in this play, but we're taking the under, right? 234.5, we're taking the under. I don't believe that this Houston Rockets insane offense is going to carry us over this line, right? I think the Nuggets offense truly is good, but this line is too high, right? 234.5 shouldn't be the line when these defenses are so good. That's really what it is. It's a credit to the defense, not hating on the offense, right? Usually you see a line this high when you see fiery teams with great offenses and bad defenses. That's not what's happening here, right? Both of these defenses are very solid. It's just that the offenses are pretty good too, right? So I believe that because the public is so over this game, right? Everybody's going to be watching this on a Friday night. This line is, been increased. We're not going to fall for that. We're taking the Nuggets and the Rockets on the under at 235.5. That's all I got for the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Appreciate you as always, and let's make some money on NBA Friday. Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new video on PrizePicks. Today we got the best plays for college football because we got another huge college football slate coming up. I'll show you guys all these insane games. So we're going to talk about that, but real quick, first up, drop me a follow, drop me a subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the uploads, and also drop a like on this video. If we get to 20 likes in this video, that'd be absolutely awesome. And let's go ahead and talk about how the VIP plays have been doing. If you guys missed it, on Thursday, we went 404 on the VIP, greening out every single play. And then on Friday, this is what actually ended up happening. This Wizards play did not hit. This Florida NC State play is looking very good right now. It's halfway through the third quarter, and we've only had 10 points scored. So that one's basically a cash. And unfortunately, all three of these two and this last one, they're all kicking off at 10 p.m. Eastern. And I'm recording this right now at 10 p.m. Eastern. So none of these have fully kicked off yet. We will see if these guys go ahead and cash. But the VIP has been on fire, as you guys can tell. And if you want to get in for completely free, just DM me the word VIP. As you guys can see right here, if you text me the word VIP to this number, I will get you on a free week of VIP. All I'm going to have you do is sign up for one of these apps. It can be Sleeper, Chalkboard, or Underdog. And once you do that, I'll get you on the free week of VIP. Alternatively, just go ahead, hop on the Winnable, either the free plan or any of the VIP passes, and we'll make sure to cash out with you guys. Now, let's move into play number one. We're going over, for this first play, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. So, for this first play, we're going to go ahead and click over to this game right now on PrizePicks. We're talking about Oregon versus USC because this is a huge game that simply is just like major contentions here, and I think this one's going to be a very pass-heavy game, right? I think that Jaden Mayava's line at 250 is pretty much exactly where it should be. Like, it could be a little higher, but Dante Moore is where we need to target. So right here, I know Oregon's more of a rushing-based team. Like we can see here, they have 3 running backs that are all projected 30-plus rushing yards, right? So like that obviously shows you exactly how much of a rushing team there are. But the thing is, USC is going to force them to pass in this game, right? 218 yards is too low for Dante Moore. And if you look at these last few games, he hasn't been pressed to pass in several of these, right? This one, he was pressed to pass, and Indiana was just a better team, right? 186. But then this game, they really needed to pass. Iowa, they literally played the most rushing football in like all of the game, right? So obviously he doesn't have to pass there. And in these last couple of games, right, Minnesota and then against Rutgers, both of their teams play faster football, so he's going to pass in those games. Now he's playing up against one of the fastest teams out there, right? USC loves to pass the ball because, I mean, for good reason, right? Jacoby Lane is elite, and Mekhi Lemon is elite times 3, right? He's absolutely balling right now. If we look at these stats, they speak for themselves. A red bar for Mekhi Lemon is literally getting 93 yards sometimes. That's absolutely nuts. So let's get into the next game because we already knocked out one play for that one. And we're going over to what I would call an underrated game. Baylor taking on Arizona. I think this one's going to be an absolute shootout, right? You see the passing yards, 271, 247. Both these teams are super high scoring. And these quarterbacks have been getting around this line, right? This is very, very common for Sawyer Robertson to pop for 300 plus yards, sometimes even 400 plus yards in that last one. And we're actually going to be targeting the receiving yards here because I'd rather just take their wide receiver ones instead of taking the quarterbacks at their ridiculously high lines, right? So in this case, we're taking Chris Hudson for Arizona because he's been on fire, right? 123 in that last game. You just got to think that he's coming in here as the wide receiver one against a Baylor team that loves to pass the ball, right? It's going to be another shootout, even more of a shootout than that Oregon versus USC game because this time the defenses are also bad, right? It's not just the offenses being fiery and good, the defenses are bad, right? So that's a perfect time you want to go ahead and look at this play. Chris Hudson right here on the over for receiving yards. We're going over to the next game now, and I want to pick out, let's hop into a better matchup. Let's just say Texas, they've been disappointing this season, right? They've been disappointing this season, and I don't want to be that guy, but we're going to continue to fade them. Arch Manning at 275 is probably one of the most inflated lines I've ever seen. I'm just going to say that straight up. Arch Manning should not be this high in any world, right? I know he's had big games, right? Against Vanderbilt, against Miss State right here, but against Arkansas, like, he could still have a good game and go for 250, right? 275 is just purely reserved for teams that have fiery offenses, bad defenses, and are playing up against bad defenses. That's literally the only scenario when a line should be at 275. There's not really much other reason for that because, say, one scenario, Texas goes out and just blows out Arkansas, right? Easy as. Then he doesn't play that many games. He doesn't play that much minutes, right? He's not going to go over his line. Another scenario is that they get quite a bit of success with the rushing game, which is super possible. You see Q Wisner right here at 72.5 rushing yards. If he pops for a 100-yard game, 120-yard game, Arch is not going to hit his prop. Simple as, right? So that's another scenario where Arch does not go over. Really, the only scenario where Arch does go over is if Arkansas actually comes on the road to Texas and starts leading in this game, and then Texas are forced to pass, and then Arch finds some success. That's basically the only way that Arch Manning will go over this line of 275.5. It's way too high. Simply way too high. Now, moving on to the next one. And this one, we're going to be talking about Houston taking on TCU because I like one of these players a lot, right? You see Eric McAllister at 93.5 yards, and you smile because those green bars are legit. Jordan Dwyer has been on and off, right? I love this man in this game. I think he's got such potential. He's been on and off. Manjack is going up against his former team now. He used to be on Houston. He used to be playing for Houston a couple of years ago, and even last year, I think. DJ Rogers is more of a random guy right there because we know that, I mean, do I need to say it at this point? The play is Eric McAllister, right? I don't like him on the touchdowns. I don't really like him on the reception. I think he can hit the long reception, but the line is pretty high. I'm just going to take him on straight yards. 73.5. Give me this man for a huge game against a Houston defense that's truly just kind of middle of the road, right? They could be better. They could be worse. And TCU's offense really couldn't get much better when it comes to passing and receiving efficiency. They are just so clean with this duo. Hoover to McAllister, it's just so clean, right? We're sticking with that. Give me TCU receiver McAllister on the over. We're skipping past that Michigan game right here, and we're going to go over to one of the later night ones. Here we go. Tennessee at Florida. Joey Aguilar's line is set super high at 285, but it makes sense because he's a gunslinging quarterback. DJ Lagway's line is set up at 244, and honestly, that doesn't make much sense to me, right? It doesn't make much sense to me at all because you look at this Florida team and you just know they're more of a receiving, not more of a receiving base. They're more of a rushing based team, right? The only reason why this line could be perceived as super high is because the Tennessee secondary just isn't all that solid. But his line being at 244 to me is too high, right? This is just simply too high. Lights are going to be on Lagway. We've seen him not perform in these scenarios before. And the last couple times he went over was against two quality teams, right? But then he's looked very rough recently, right? So you just got to think that the current trend is going to stick because that's what's been happening. This is the best data that we can go off of. And now even though he's at home, he's going up against Tennessee, I just don't like this play at all, right? Don't like Lagway to have a big game. Now, I'm going to round it out with one last play. Colorado versus ASU. And I mean, this one is just more of an underrated play, I want to say. Underrated play is going to be Shimon Mateer. I'm taking him right here because a lot of people are not locked into this Arizona State team, and I can't blame you, right? They've been disappointing at times. But Mateer has been all that in a bag of chips for this team since Tyson went down. And we're just going to keep taking him here, right? He had one off game against WVU last week. I'm not going to blame him for that. I'm just going to head up, move into this next game, 40 plus receiving yards. We can hit that line. That's all I got for the video. Make sure you're checking out the Winnable for more free plays. And make sure you're getting in the Discord because we can't stop cashing out. We'll see you in the next one once we cash. Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new video on PrizePicks. We got plays for the NBA because we got a ton of NBA games here on Wednesday. So we're going to get to all these real quick. But first up, do me a solid, drop a like on this video. Let's try to get to 20 likes in this one. And now let's go ahead and talk about the Winnable. This is where I drop my free plays. And this is where I also have VIP picks. VIP has been absolutely cooking over the last month. If you look at it on the long term, we've been doing very well. And if I want to show you guys one thing, it is literally this, the most important thing in this video is this slide right here. You can get a free week of VIP right now, only if you text me the word VIP to this number. So this is my phone number. I'm literally just going to text you back and help you get on one of these apps, whether it be Sleeper, Chalkboard, or Underdog. And once you sign up for one of those, it's very quick and easy. You will be able to get a free week of VIP. And now let's move into the video. So right now, Lakers Clippers are in a close one because I'm recording this late at night. And Luka's absolutely popping off like he always does. But we're going to talk about the games for Wednesday. Here we go. Pistons versus Celtics. This one's a great matchup. I think this one's actually going to be quite interesting. The Pistons are only 3-point favorites. I say only because I really do kind of like them to cover here. -3 seems like a great play. Or you can just take them on the money line at that point. But Pistons are a really great team right now. Number one in the East. But the Celtics might have something to say about that, right? Jaylen Brown he's been very consistent this season, right? Over the last few games, he's only gotten under 21 time. And if you look before that, a couple of times before 20. Pelicans, where he didn't play very much. Rockets, where he only played 22 minutes. So basically, he's been getting 20 plus points every single time, right? And now he's going up against the Pistons. Last time he played the Pistons, he had 41 points, and they lost by just 6. So it was a very close one that time. I expect something similar to happen here, and I think the one player that's going to be an absolute game changer for them, even though Kate is coming back now, it's going to be Jalen Duren for me. Jalen Duren is just so elite right now. He's just so elite, and the stats don't, really reflect how great he's been. I mean, sometimes they do, right? 31 points. But if you just look at this man on the court, it is absolutely dominant at times. 19.5 points. It's a pretty high line. But where I like him even more is actually on the rebounds. I like him at 11.5 rebounds. If you can go ahead and take it right here, this is a great play because the Celtics are a good rebounding team, but they're not great. Let me show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Rebounds allowed, they're 17, right? So they're very middle of the road when it comes to rebounding against the opposing team. And if we look at recent players who's gone over, Nick Claxton actually had his line at 7.5 2 nights, and he smacked for 11 both times, right? John Collins did not hit. Embiid did not hit, but he's on a minutes restriction, so that doesn't really count. Embiid again, Mobley cashed, right? So Jalen Duren's probably one of the most impactful rebounders in the game right now. I mean, especially with Giannis and Wemby injured, I'd say right now, Jalen Duren might actually be that guy. And tonight is going to be just the Jalen Duren show. That's exactly what I have projected because I know Jaylen Brown's going to be good. I know Cade Cunningham's going to be good when it comes to scoring. But when it comes to overall impact on the game, really what just doesn't show up in the stats, so it might pop off at the screen, is Jalen Duren. And one stat that actually does kind of reflect that for a player like JD is the rebounding, right? So I like Jalen Duren right here on the rebounds a lot. Now, Knicks versus Hornets is our next game up. You got the Hornets at 6.5 point underdogs here at home versus the Knicks. And this is what I'm talking about, guys. You really can't figure out this Hornets team. You got Bridges at 19.5, Ball at 18.5, Knipple at 17.5, Miller also at 17.5, and then KB down at 6, right? This one might be a little bit of a low line. Might be a good spot here to take Ryan Kalkbrenner. But we're going to go ahead and talk about the Knicks first and then hop back over to the Hornets. Jalen Brunson has been on one this season. He had this 3-game stretch that was just pretty rough, honestly. And the reason it was rough for stats was because they won those 3 games by an average margin of 23. But if we look at the games where he's really been playing close ones, right here, relatively close ones, I should say, it's been good. The only problem I have with this line is this might not be a close one, right? This might not be a close one against the Hornets. They might actually dominate. Like here they won by 23, here they won by 36, here they won by 17, and the common factor in all three of those games was Brunson didn't come close to hitting this line of 28.5 points, right? So I'm staying away personally from Brunson right here. The one player that I do love, and for a good reason, is Colin Knippel, right? There is nothing to say that because Brandon Miller is coming back now, this is going to go badly, right? We select the only games, right, when Brandon Miller did play, right, which was very early on the season. This was in the season opener, 11 points. Next game, 14 points. Game after that, popped off, 9 3-points shot, 6 3-points made, and he got 26 points, right? Since then, Knippel has done enough to show that he can be that guy, right? The only bad game he's had, right? These couple games, he only shot the ball a few times. I don't really count these as necessarily bad games for him when it's literally your first week of the NBA, right? If you look at the last few games, this sample size right here, the only bad games he's had was this game against the Bucks, which is not a bad game in my opinion. I mean, 5 of 13 isn't great, but he still made 38% from 3 and got a good volume. This is a decent game in my opinion. The only bad game he had was against the OKC Thunder, right? And who isn't going to have a bad game against the Thunder? They're literally the best defense of all time in the regular season. That's what it's looking like right now, according to the stats. And I think they might actually keep that up. He's playing the Knicks now, who truly middle of the road defense, right? For such a good offensive team, their defense, it doesn't do them justice, right? Their defense is not all that great. So Knippel here, I love him on the over. I basically am saying that even though Brandon Miller's coming back, Knippel has done so much in these last 15 games. When Miller has been recovering from his injury, Knippel has been building chemistry with Bridges, with Ball, with Kalkbrenner, with James, with all the other Hornets players, right? He's been building chemistry with them. He's been really integrating himself, not just as someone who sits in the corner and shoots threes, which is what a lot of people thought going in. That's all he was going to do. He's been integrating himself as the guy. He's a great role man. He can find players with great passes, and he's basically, in my opinion, risen up to second to LaMelo Ball, right? At this point, if LaMelo Ball gets traded, many Hornets fans wouldn't even be mad, right? Me personally, I'm a Hornets fan. I wouldn't be mad. I think it might actually be the best thing to happen right here because we got 2 young players that are absolutely amazing, right? And Colin Knippel is that guy. Brandon Miller coming back doesn't scare me because I think Knippel's still going to produce at an elite level, man. I just think it's going to happen. His line at 2.5 assists is a joke. Take that on the over, of course. But his line at points, I'm also hitting it on the over. Now, let's move in to the next game. We're going Bucks versus Heat right here. And I mean, there's a lot to talk about because Tyler Hero's coming back. Now, really, he's played one game, right? It's against Mavs. He went over, but it's a 1-game sample size, right? You can't really take that into account very much. Norman Powell right here is questionable in this one. I mean, if he does play, it would be great to take him. But this is one of those situations where you don't really want to take anybody on the Heat because there's just so many moving parts, right? Hero just came back after 1 game, and he's only played 1 game so far this season. Norman Powell is doing amazing, and then, of course, had dealt with some injuries there, and now he's potentially even dealing with an injury tonight, right? So you don't really know what to do, and I wouldn't take any of the Heat players on their player props. That being said, I'm taking this game on the total on the over. 237.5, I'm taking the Miami Heat, the total on the over. 237.5 as a total, I feel like it's a high line because I'm not so certain if the Bucks can go ahead and, do their part of the total. But what I am certain about is the Heat being able to score, right? I'm very certain about that with Hero, Powell, Bam, Wiggins, Ware, Larson, Davion Mitchell. And the only thing that you really don't want to take the total over because Giannis, we don't know, right? Giannis is questionable. If Giannis plays, I mean, obviously game turn is in. If Giannis plays, there's a great chance that the Bucks, keep up with the total, right? But this is one of those games where you probably just want to fade the whole thing altogether. But if I did have a play to take, it'd be Heat team total on the over. Now, Pacers versus Raptors. This is a great game, but the Raptors look unstoppable right now. And a big part of that is BI right here. BI just popped off for 37 points. Quickly has been doing his thing. Scotty Barnes, of course, doing his thing mostly on the defensive end. But what I'm doing is I'm taking the Raptors to cover, right? 9.5 points. Give me the -9.5, right? Now, Thunder versus Wolves. You got OKC at 8.5. And I mean, Shea is just so funny, man. Like, it is ridiculous how consistent this man is. And he's hit this line. And if you tell any player, right? You pick any player who's only hit their points line at a 38% rate, you'd probably think they're underperforming this season. But no. Shea is averaging 32.2 points, and he's hitting the under at 38% of the time. That is ridiculous. That is absolutely nuts. He's averaging higher than his points total, but he's hit it at less than 40% clip. And how does that make sense? It's because he has one pop off game here, and then so many 30-point games where he just gets 30 flat or 31. It is insane to me. Absolutely insane. And why is this happening? Because he's not playing in the fourth quarter for many of these games, right? And I don't think he's going to play in the fourth quarter for here either. Nothing about this Timberwolves team has shown me that they're any good. The Timberwolves have played a bunch of nobodies this season, right? They played a bunch of nobodies. I'm not going to fade their players on the points necessarily, but I'm going to fade the team. I'm taking the Thunder -10 easily, right? Or if you want an even better play, just take the Thunder on the first half, right? Because you never know what could happen in the fourth quarter when the Thunder take their foot off the gas. Just take the Thunder in the first half. It feels like free money because the Wolves have a lot of wins against a lot of nobodies. And the Thunder are the best team in the NBA, the best defense of all time, some people are saying. And, I mean, with every passing game, it's getting harder to refute those claims, right? So that might actually be my lock of the day. A couple of these games we're going to skip, like Grizzlies, Pelicans, because really, who cares? Spurs, Blazers is the next one we're going to go ahead and talk about. Toumani Camara has been one of the players that he's just been all over the place, right? Going into this season, myself included and a lot of other people thought he was going to be that guy, especially on the defensive end, right? He was going to be elite. He was going to be, locking up players like left, right, and center because that's what he did last season, especially towards the back half of last season when the Blazers were the number 2 ranked defense. But Toumani Camara has not been that guy, right? And I don't feel comfortable taking him on the offensive end either. And one other guy who's kind of regressed for me is Donovan Clingan, right? We know he can do more than this. We know he can be that guy. But a lot of that has to do with Deni Avdija just putting up a bunch of numbers for this team, just straight numbers. And this consistency is absolutely elite, right? The only time he's had a bad game, well, who would have thought? He was playing the OKC Thunder, right? I mean, it's just such a common trend, right? When players play the Thunder, they do pretty poorly, right? Who would have thought? And in this game, Wemby is still out. You've got De'Aaron Fox trying to lead this team. He's been good, but I can't say great because, I mean, these are great numbers to look at, right? The green bars look good, but when you're shooting this many shots and you're really just, I mean, I don't want to say he's slowing down the team, but compared to what the team is with Wemby and Fox, and then just Fox, it feels bad, right? It feels like we're not doing the Spurs justice. So I like the Blazers just to win straight out here. I think the hotter team right now. They've been playing better, and they're less injured, right? So sometimes it comes down to that. And tonight, Wednesday night, I think it's going to be one of those days. Suns, Kings, we're going to skip that one. Suns have been playing well, but we're going to want to talk about this one, Rockets, Warriors. Because the Rockets, just a few weeks ago, actually just last week, they had the number 1 offensive rating in the NBA. Now they've dropped to around number 3. But they're still looking really solid, right? They're still looking really solid, of course. And if you look at the defensive rating for the Warriors, they're still top 10. It's not like it's a terrible defense at all. And this is going to be a weird one, right? There's going to be a weird one because, let me show you guys what I'm talking about. Where can I find this? Here it is. It's going to be a weird one because there's a couple major injuries for them. Obviously, Kevin Durant's playing out here. Tari Eason's out. But a big one that is Steven Adams, right? He helps a lot with their pick and roll game because he's the best screener. I mean, I don't want to say ever, but he's the best screener right now in the NBA pretty clearly. And I mean, that's a weird thing to say, but in terms of just setting screens and being able to be good at that stuff, Adams is that guy, right? Now, moving into why we're talking about all this, it's because they're not going to play as much pick and roll. They're going to be more reliant on a three-point game. It's going to be Reed Shepherd, guys. It's just going to be Reed Shepherd. He plays so solid right now. I like him on the over 2.5 threes because if you just look at the stats, guys, he's shooting enough and the shots are falling more often than not, right? I know he's had a couple misses recently, but if you look at these last few games, like it's been 5 times where he's cashed and 3 times where he hasn't. And when he has cashed, he's going well over the line, right? So I love Reed Shepard right here. And if we look at the Warriors side of the ball, there is one play that I loved taking right here. It's Steph Curry on the assists. 3.5 assists. It's just simply too low for this man. Now, that's all the games we got for Wednesday night. I appreciate you. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the Thanksgiving Day video. We got a bunch of NBA, but more importantly, we got 3 games in the NFL, and we're going to do all the plays for that. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next one. Yo, what's up, guys? What's your brand new video on Prize Picks? First up, happy Thanksgiving to all you guys. And now let's hop into the plays because we've got a ton of NFL games that are going to be great games. We got 3 games in this Thanksgiving slate, and I think they're all actually going to come down to the wire here. We're going to hop right to all of them. But first up, do me a solid, drop a like on this video. And now make sure you guys are signed up on the Winnable. It is winnable.com/BAM. And once you guys sign up here, you can join the free Discord, and then you can get a bunch more free plays. But let's just hop right into the first play of the day because we got Jared Goff right here sitting at 241.5. And I like this man on the over. I'm going to show you guys what he's done when he's been at home this season. The only 2 times when he went under was this one. I'm not even going to count this as an under. He literally missed by 0.5. So he literally only went, had a bad game 1 time, which was against the Bears, who have actually a great defense. And they won by 24 points. So who would have thought they're probably not going to pass the ball very much, right? But when Jared Goff is at home, this is important. When Jared Goff is at home, he's playing in the Dome, of course, at Ford Field, and this is just what the Lions love to do, right? They love to pass the ball. They love to get, the pace of the game as high as possible because they know they can keep up. And I think they're really going to test Jordan Love and the Packers here to see if they can keep up as well, right? So Jared Goff, I can show you guys exactly. When he's away, he's going under at a 50% rate. When he's at home, he's going over at a 60, some would say 80% rate if you count this one right here. So absolutely great right here. And if we look at the last few, some other quarterbacks, they really haven't played a quarterback as good, right, in these last 5. So this is something that's I would say stat padding the Packers passing defense. Who have they been playing? Who have they been forcing to go on the under? J.J. McCarthy's looked terrible. Jameis Winston, Jalen Hurts, Bryce Young, and Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers is a good quarterback. He only barely missed his line. So all 5 of those guys went under. So now people are looking at this and going, well, the Packers actually have a good pass defense, right? They forced other quarterbacks to go under their lines. No, they've just played really poor quarterbacks. And if we scroll down to when they're actually playing better quarterbacks, or at least more gun-slinging quarterbacks like Jacoby Brissett, Joe Flacco, and Dak Prescott, those all 3 guys went over, right? So that's exactly what I'm trying to show you guys here. A quarterback like Jared Goff, most similarly to all the quarterbacks that the Packers, has played so far, the one that's most similar is Dak Prescott, right? Because Dak Prescott doesn't run the ball very much, but is very accurate as a pocket passer and knows how to gunsling, right? That is literally Jared Goff's CV right there, right? So 241.5, we like Jared on the over. But now what you can do is you can throw in a little bit of correlation. This is the best strategy right now on Prize Picks. It's been the best strategy for like 3 years. And I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do it right now. If you don't know, this is obviously not my main Prize Picks account. I just use it to click around on. I don't just have 80 cents. Calm down in the comments. But I love going on this account and showing you guys exactly how to use correlation, right? So we're first taking Jared Goff on the over. And now over on receiving yards, you can take a lot of these players, right? And I'm going to show you guys exactly how this works, right? You could take Amon-Ra on receiving yards. This bumps it down to 2.5, 2.25. So what you really want to do is switch it up a little bit, right? You don't want to take him exactly on receiving yards. This also bumps to 2.25. I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly what I'm talking about right here, guys. My thing just cut out right there. But basically, we're doing correlation, right? So we're taking Jared Goff, Jameson Williams, right? And exactly what we're doing here is we already talked about Goff, right? But why are we taking J-Mo? Because if Goff has a great passing game, let me say that one more time. If Goff has a great passing game, then who's going to go over on their longest reception? Yeah, that's Jameson Williams. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You got to play smarter than just picking straight plays, right? Straight plays will never really beat out a system like correlation. This is the kind of stuff that I don't usually give out in every video, but I thought, hey, it's Thanksgiving. Let me build out a parlay for you guys with the elite level systems that we use in our high-end pricing right there. But Jameson Williams, 23.5 longest track. You could also take Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think both of these guys are absolutely firecrackers here. But I'm sticking with J-Mo because, I mean, just look at these green bars. He's the kind of guy that's boom or bust, right? And I think it's going to be a huge boom game for the Lions playing at home. So we're taking J-Mo. Now, moving into the next one, we're going to run it back with some more correlation. So what am I saying there? I'm saying let's hold up and let's take a quick pause. Let's realize Mahomes just had his best passing yards game of the season, right? Oh, and who is he playing? The Indianapolis Colts, who have a god-awful passing defense. I'm gonna show you guys exactly what I'm talking about here with the advanced stats. Opponents passing yards allowed, right? This blue line goes up when the passing yards allowed goes up, right? When it's a bad passing defense. And you'll notice he played quite a couple tough passing defenses here, went under, then played a pretty easy passing defense in the Jags, hit his first over, then he came down and went under because he was playing a tough passing defense in the Detroit Lions. But then he had a couple games where he went over because he played easy passing defenses, the Raiders and the Commanders. Then he played one of the hardest passing defenses in the league in the Buffalo Bills, and who would have thought he didn't hit his line? He went under and he lost that game. Then he plays the Broncos and he just barely sneaks over. This was a great game for Mahomes, even though they ended up losing. The Broncos are a great passing defense, but what ended up happening after that, he played the worst team that he's faced so far in passing defense, and he beat the Indianapolis Colts, and he got 352 passing yards. And now that blue line is climbing up, because would you look at that, passing yards allowed, the Dallas Cowboys are the 30th best team out of 32. They are the third best, matchup that Mahomes could possibly ask for in this case, right? It is absolutely insane, right? So we love Mahomes here to just go crazy, have a great game. The only reason I would say Mahomes might not hit this is because they're winning by too much. But with what we've seen from the Chiefs so far this season, they're pretty questionable at times. They're pretty questionable, right? Mahomes can still do his thing for the most part, right? But they're pretty questionable when it comes to just being able to blow out teams. They did it one time, which was against the Raiders. That's basically it, right? I guess you can count this Commanders one. It wasn't as dominant as the one before that, right? But the rest of them, it's been close. Close wins, close losses, a lot of close losses. This one, the spread is 3.5. I think Mahomes is going to have a great game here, right? Simple and plain, because the Dallas Cowboys have a terrible passing defense. I mean, what else can I say? And I guess what else can I say is how we're going to use that to our advantage. We're not just going to go here and a regular bettor, right? A regular guy might think, oh, that's a great point you make. I'm just going to click this button and I'll be good to go. No, we're not just doing that, right? We are going to press our advantage here and not just use a single prop, but combine that with multiple other props to create leverage and just a positive system right here with correlation, right? So we already got a good correlation stack here for the first game. Now we're going to try to create another one for the second game. And right here, we're going to our man Xavier Worthy. So PrizePicks does a little bit of a sneaky thing here, and they actually try to force you into taking different players based on the player payouts, right? So if you take Rashee Rice, you'll see this is paying out a 7x. If you take Travis Kelce, you'll see this is paying out a 7.5x. If you take a guy like Marquise Brown, this is paying out an 8.5x. If you take a guy like Xavier Worthy, this is paying out an 8x, right? So it's really all over the place from PrizePicks, and this is why you really just have to be locked in. I mean, if you aren't locked in, if you just want to do this as a hobby, probably not the right video to watch, honestly. If you want to just do this as a hobby, just go watch some other video, right? You can just don't even watch YouTube at that point. Just do whatever you feel like, right? But the people that we're trying to target here are plays that are just going to be really profitable in the long run, right? So you really just got to click around, find exactly where the sweet spot is on PrizePicks, and this is the kind of thing that for my higher ticket clients, for the VIP clients, I literally just do it for them because it's just that simple to me. I mean, I'm doing this a lot, and it's my job to know exactly where PrizePicks' weaknesses are, right? And this is exactly where I'm going to go target here. It's Rashee Rice on the longest reception. So one thing you'll notice is that longest reception for players is honestly very similarly correlated to a player's hitting their over on receiving yards. And what does that mean? The player hitting, a good longest reception and the player hitting a good receiving yards honestly happens in the same game, right? So if a player pops out for receiving yards, the odds of them hitting their longest reception line are like in the 90+ percentile, right? And same goes the other way around. So you got to change your mentality here and basically think of it as almost the exact same type of prop, right? It's not the exact same prop. When it comes to correlation, it's very similar because we know passing yards is correlated with receiving yards. We've known this since the dawn of time. And because longest reception is correlated with receiving yards, we can then draw the correlation between passing yards and longest reception. This is the kind of thing that PrizePicks really doesn't care about because they don't expect the average bettor to know things like this. And that's probably true. You guys aren't the average bettor, right? You're watching someone who studies this basically as my life, right? So Rashee Rice here on longest reception, I'll show you guys. This pays out 8.5x. $20 wins 170. But when we go ahead and take Rashee Rice here on why is my thing not loading? When we go ahead and take Rashee Rice here on literally almost the exact same play with receiving yards, we unclick this and click this right here, it's paying us 7x. 7x versus 8.5x. This is a huge difference, right? So all you got to know on PrizePicks is exactly where to take it and what you're doing, right? If you play like an idiot, PrizePicks is going to play you. PrizePicks is going to basically just feed off of your bank account because they know you'll keep playing the game because it looks cool and it looks exciting, and you think because you watch people like me that there's a way to win, right? If you don't play with a winning mentality in mind, with a winning system in place, you're not going to win, right? It's plain and simple. Now, let's move into the next play because I've got a couple more sportsbook plays for you guys who really are just looking to slam down some straights, because I think that's a very profitable system as well, as long as you take it at the right odds. But this is a great correlation stack. I mean, this is beautiful. Looking at this and getting 8.5x is just so clean. So clean. But let's hop over to Onyx odds because we're just going to go ahead and check out this next, couple games here, right? Because we have not talked at all about the last game of the day, which is in fact the return of Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's coming back. And they're still 7-point underdogs, right? The line really didn't move since Joe Burrow coming back was a thing. And I think that this is a great line to take. This is a plus money play. If you guys can, I don't know why I can't take it. I literally don't know why I can't take it. But, okay, I guess it's not on Onyx, but it's okay. I don't really use this book. I just like the way it looks so I can click around on YouTube. The play that I'm talking about is Derrick Henry to not score a touchdown, right? Derrick Henry has been pretty inconsistent with the touchdowns, and I think it's very possible that he doesn't score a touchdown. When you see this line sitting here at minus 235, it makes no sense to me, right? It literally makes no sense. If we look up Derrick Henry stats, right, he's been good, right? He's been just as good as anybody you'd expect to have a minus 235 line, right? But let's look at this, right? He got 2 tutties against the Jets, 1 against the Browns, nothing against the Vikings, nothing against the Dolphins, 2 against Chicago, nothing against LA, 1 against the Texans, nothing against the Chiefs, 1 against the Lions, and nothing in that opener. You got a couple in that opener against the Bills. Nothing in that one against the Browns right there, right? So that pretty much sounds like a 60, maybe 65% chance of him scoring 1 touchdown, and around a 40 or 45% chance of him not, right? I mean, that's pretty clear cut why you're taking him here to not score a touchdown when the odds are minus 235 for him to score, right? So that's not the play I came here to talk about, but it's just a great little different kind of look there, right? You think, what is the public going to be taking? They're obviously going to be taking Derrick Henry and take a touchdown, right? So it's always good to fade the public. Most of the time, it does end up paying out, right? I'm not going to say it's rigged or anything, but the public loses, right? There's a reason why the house always wins, and it's because the public is pretty stupid. Now, this Bengals-Ravens game, there's one play I'm looking at, and it's the over on the alt line. We love this over right here, and I'm going to slam it right there at 43.5. This is a minus 323 play. I would take this as a parlay piece. Try to get your parlay up around minus 200 to minus 150. That's the sweet spot for me. 2 big parlays, of course. Over 43.5. Such a great play, right? The Ravens gunslinging team and the Bengals with Joe Burrow, that's all they know how to do, right? There is literally no other way this game goes. It's a divisional matchup, Thanksgiving night football. Nobody in their right mind is projecting this game to be a 20-10 ending. That's just not happening, right? It's Joe Burrow. It's Lamar Jackson. It's Jamar Chase. It's Derrick Henry. You got Zay Flowers out there. And the most important part that I haven't talked about yet is how bad the defense is. It's just the case, right? The Bengals defense is absolutely terrible. And the Ravens defense, I mean, they're good, but they're very injured, which means that they're not good right now, right? So, Bengals, Ravens, both great offenses, especially now Joe Burrow's back, and both very questionable defenses, Cincinnati in particular. That's the main reason why they're 7-point underdogs, if you didn't catch that already, right? You got Joe Burrow, you got Jamar Chase, you got no defense. That's basically the system right there. That's why their lines are that low. But that's my sportsbook play of the day, and this is my correlation slip of the day. This is the kind of stuff that makes you money on PrizePicks. Just going to say that straight up. Now, that's all I got for the video. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. What's good, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on PrizePicks. Today we got plays for Monday Night Football. I've been out for a couple of days, enjoying the Thanksgiving break. Hope you guys also did enjoy the holidays. But we got a banger game coming up. We got Patriots versus Giants. And I actually think this one is, Drake May on prime time. You really can't say no to that, right? So we're going to get into some plays for this today. But first up, do me a solid, drop a like on this video. And now let's move right into the plays. So we're going to go ahead and talk about this one. And right now the over is sitting at 46.5. That's going to be my first play of the day, is to fade this over. We all know the strategy, or if you don't know, I'm not going to say we all know, right? If we don't know, taking unders on prime time has been absolutely electric. Anybody who's been locked into the stats knows that this season, 65+% of the games have actually hit on the under when they are primetime games. So Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night football, when the whole world's basically watching one game, the under is significantly more likely to hit. And this is even better when you bet on the day itself, right? So why is this an important thing? Because why does this even happen? Because the line gets set earlier in the week exactly where it should be. And then because the public loves taking overs, right? This line is going to get pushed up and up and up and up. And then by the time it's game time, the line is actually higher than where fair value is. So we can secure value by fading the public and taking the under. This is a very good strategy to just consistently put some money on the under for the game total, right? On a primetime game, not just any other game, right? Any games, mostly it's 50-50. On a primetime game, over 46.5 right here is what the public love. We're taking the under at 46.5. I believe that if you wait, a few more hours, like give it like an hour before game time, this line might actually be up to like 47 or 48.5, which is awesome. You can take the under, secure those extra couple points of value. And that might not sound like a lot. If you're like, well, it's just 2 points, right? I might as well just take it now. That's basically the difference between, a minus 170 plus EV play and a minus 120 plus EV play, right? So it's actually a huge difference when you put it in terms of that. And if that still isn't a big difference to you, you're probably are losing sports better, right? I'm just gonna say that straight up. You gotta know that the profit lies in the margins, right? You gotta know that's literally the key of this game. Over a long time, a lot of value, a lot of volume, the profit's gonna lie in the margins, right? But because we got you here, we're not just going to run with a basic old format on PrizePicks. I'm going to show you a little bit of correlation strats that I've been running up. So this is the kind of stuff that we do on the VIP, and this is a great correlation strat that you can use as well, right? So we're going to go over to this Aurora versus Astralis game in Counter-Strike, and this is a very even game. So bear with me here. This is how you make money on PrizePicks, right? You got to look where other people aren't looking. And frankly, everybody and their mom is looking at taking Drake May over on yards. So if you want to watch a YouTube video that just tells you to do that, honestly, just go watch someone else, man. I'm here to help you make money on PrizePicks, and we're literally going to do that right here. So number one way to make money is through correlation, right? So what we can do here is we can take Zantares on Aurora, the top player on Aurora, and then we can go over and take the top player on Device right here. So Device is a great player, especially because of that he uses the op, which is basically most overpowered weapon, and he's just super good with it, right? So you can take him here on kills, but it'll pay out shift you down to 2.75. Kind of like him on headshots. You can do whatever you want, right? But if you take him right here, this is a correlated stack. Why is this correlated? Because in Counter-Strike, the games either go really long or really short, right? So imagine it's like the NFL, except half the time the games, you get four full quarters in, and half the time the game just ends after 2 quarters, right? What's going to happen? Every single player is going to hit their over projection when the game goes to full 4 quarters. And almost every single player is not going to hit their over if the game just gets cut in half and ends with 2 quarters, right? So that's kind of how these esports works. The game doesn't end based on time. The game ends when one team has won a certain amount of rounds, right? So because these 2 teams are evenly matched, we don't expect one team to just run away with it and end the game early. That's exactly what we're talking about. And even if you don't understand it, don't worry about it. Just follow someone who does, okay? Now, let's get right back into the NFL because there are some correlation strategies that you can do. Right now, you can see Bo Nix is live. So I'm recording this on Sunday Night Football. I got it up in the background right now, actually. But we're going to go ahead and talk about this Monday night game. So I'm just going to lower this down. Here we go. And a correlation strategy that you can do is exactly this. You want to take the longest reception because this is what PrizePicks doesn't really. You could go Drake May, but honestly, I'm not going to lie. I like the other combo better. This is what PrizePicks doesn't super heavily payout shift it for. And this is the beauty of this strategy, guys. You're getting a correlated 4-man stack. A correlated 4-man stack at 9.5x the payout. This is beautiful, guys. And this is the kind of thing that you really, this was going crazy in 2023. They wouldn't payout shift at all. And if you know exactly how to beat the payout shift, you can go nuts with this, right? And people have caught on to correlation, right? Correlation, basically, if you don't know, it's like you're taking 2 players who, if the same outcome in the game script happens, they're both going to go over or they're both going to go under, right? We just did that with CS2, and we're running it back here with the Giants. If you go, well, if Jackson Dart has 205 passing yards plus, 205 plus passing yards, who else is going to do well? Wan'Dale Robinson. He's probably going to get a good 60 of those receiving yards, 60 or more. That is very basic correlation, and honestly, that worked 2 years ago and made us all a crap ton of money. Nowadays, PrizePicks has banned that, pretty much, right? They'll still let you put it down. It'll only give you an 8x payout, which in the long run is simply not profitable, right? What you want to do is take Jackson Dart here, and then instead of taking Wan'Dale on the receiving yards, you want to take Wan'Dale on the longest reception. So this is almost the same thing because when a wide receiver goes over on receiving yards, they almost always go over on their longest reception too. And this actually makes sense, right? It's basically saying the wide receiver is going to have a good game, right? And when the wide receiver hits their over on receiving yards, more likely than not, they hit their over on longest reception because they had one good catch, one super good catch in that game. Right now, Wan'Dale is at 21.5. He hit this last week with a 40-yard catch against Detroit, and he hit this a few weeks ago with a 34-yard against Philly, and he missed these 3 in the middle, right? And I want you to go ahead and check them just to look them up here. I'm dropping some real sauce here for you guys. Here, you can exactly see exactly what I'm talking about, right? This time versus Philly, he barely missed it. But right here, against Detroit, he had a great game. So he not only hit his receiving yards total, he also hit his longest reception. And a couple of those games, he didn't hit his receiving yards total, and he didn't hit his longest reception, right? So they're very correlated right there. So we can take Wan'Dale and Jackson Dart and Zontarez and Device, and we're locking this in to get us a 9.5x banging payout. And this is the kind of thing that you probably aren't going to see anywhere else on the internet because nobody else is dropping this kind of sauce, right? This is exactly how to beat PrizePicks when PrizePicks simply doesn't want you to win, right? I'll show you another example of PrizePicks not wanting you to win, right? A really, not going to say a stupid bettor, but someone who just doesn't know what they're doing will probably just go, oh, I like Drake May. I'm going to take him on the over. Oh, I think I got Devin Singletary on my fantasy team. I'm going to take him on the over, right? Oh, receiving yards in the first 2 receptions. I don't think Hunter Henry is going to get that, right? So then they just click random things right here, right? And then they see a demon payout and they go, oh, that'll boost my payout, right? I'm going to bump this up. And this gets them a 9.5x, right? This gets them a 9.5x. This is stupid, right? We just made a 9.5x 4-man correlated stack. And this is the thing, guys. You're competing against people out there who are doing this. And when this is your competition, winning is honestly easier than ever, right? PrizePicks is going to make winning look harder because back in the day, we used to just be able to take simple 2-man stacks, right? Passing yards, receiving yards, and then slam the other side, receiving yards, right? PrizePicks has now nerfed this down to a 7x, right? The game has changed. Fundamentally, the game has changed, right? But if you know how to beat it, you can beat the system, right? It's not that difficult. You just got to know where to look and exactly what to play for, right? So NFL is not always the most profitable place. Sometimes CS2 is the most profitable place. Sometimes there are other places out here that are very profitable. College football, you got a couple esports that aren't on here. Valorant, League of Legends are super profitable with this exact correlation strategy. And that's what we do well on this channel, right? So if you like the sound of that, drop a subscribe, drop a follow. But those are our 4-man stack and also our play of the day under right here. I'll see you guys in the next one.